alaikum, unshakable Muslims. Today you have unlocked the card of the living martyr, the living shaheed. It's like saying the living dead man who's dedicated his life for Allah. Talha ibn Ubaidullah radiallahu anhu. And this is his incredible story. Talha radiallahu anhu was very close friends, best friends with another companion. They were often together, doing a lot of things together. And his name was Zubair ibn Awwam radiallahu anhu. We know Zubair radiallahu anhu. Have you got his card with the yellow turban? Well, if you have got it, you know what I mean. And if you haven't, then trade somebody for it. By the way, have you guys upgraded your cards yet? How are you going to battle if you don't? Make sure you do that. Back to the story of Talha radiallahu anhu. Talha radiallahu anhu was a young man and he was a trader, a businessman, a very good one, very rich one. So he used to go and trade outside Mecca. One day when he was on one of his trading trips somewhere, he met kind of like a monk who told him something incredible. He said, in Mecca, there is going to come a man. His name would be Ahmad. And this man would be the last of the prophets. And he would have to leave Mecca at one point and go to another city. Talha was like, wow, what is he talking about? I don't know anything like that. Is that going to happen in Mecca? So he went back home, back to Mecca, and he asked his family, did something happen recently? Like when I was gone, did something happen? And his family said, yes. Muhammad ibn Abdullah has declared that he is the Prophet of Allah. And he's calling everybody to believe in one God. And Abu Bakr has followed him, has believed in him. Talha was amazed. He knew Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, who was also a trader. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu was also a trader. Both of them were businessmen. They both had great reputation. They were both known as honest and trustworthy, and people loved them. He was like, I know Abu Bakr, he is very honest. We like him. He's a good man. I will go and talk to him. So he went, Talha radiallahu went and he talked to Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, tell me about this. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu told him about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Talha radiallahu anhu then told Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu about the whole story about what the monk had told him. And Abu Bakr was like, wow, that's great. Let's go and tell Prophet Muhammad ﷺ about it. So they both went, they told Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ told Talha radiallahu anhu about Islam. He recited some of the Quran to him. Talha radiallahu anhu was so excited. He immediately accepted Islam and he became a Muslim. One of the very first people to become Muslims. There were barely like less than 10 people, Muslims in the entire world at that time. And he was one of them. In fact, he's one of the people who was promised Jannah while he was alive. Imagine that. He was promised, you're going to Jannah anyways. Right? How incredible is that? Living in this world, knowing you're already going to Jannah. But that didn't make him lazy. But then his family found out that he has become a Muslim. And they couldn't bear that. They tried to convince him. The Quraysh leaders were really upset. Because right now, imagine there are like 5-6 Muslim men there. And Talha is one of them. And he's a big, rich, young man, right? From a noble family. They're like, how could he become a Muslim? Why did he accept? We were already unhappy that Abu Bakr has become a Muslim and now he's also becoming a Muslim. Let's go and talk to him and convince him this is a really bad idea. But nothing could shake his Emaan. So he stayed firm. Then they said, okay, talking is not working, let's punish him. So they started torturing him. One day, a man said that I was near the Kaaba and I saw that there was a young man whose hands were tied and people were pushing him. And then they started punching his head. And then there was a woman who was lashing him in the heat of the sun. He's like wounded all over, and this woman is lashing him, shouting at him. So he asked, who is this boy? And who is this woman? They said, this is Talha. And they are punishing him because he started following Muhammad. And this woman is his mother. Imagine. She is punishing him because he's believing in Allah, because he is doing his salah. How terrible. Aren't you grateful that you have a mother, that you have a father who command you to worship Allah, don't stop you from doing that? Because even today in the world, there are people that when they become Muslims, their parents are super angry at them, they punish them, they make their lives very difficult. Alhamdulillah, you didn't have to suffer any of that. In fact, it is the total opposite for you. You have parents who care so much about you, who believe in Allah, and who want to see you in Jannah. Let me ask you, is this not one of the greatest blessings of Allah on you, that your mom reminds you to pray? Maybe sometimes she punishes you or gives you negative consequences when you disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or she fears that you will disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Isn't that like the greatest blessing? Imagine if you had parents like so many other children have, whose parents are not reminding them about Allah. They themselves don't care. Where would you have ended up? Alhamdulillah. For parents who command us, who encourage us, who support us, and sometimes maybe even give us consequences when we don't follow Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Alhamdulillah for mothers who nag us to pray 5 times a day. Alhamdulillah that we have such parents. What a wonderful gift Allah has given you, right? Back to the story. Once they tied Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu and Talha radiallahu anhu together, and they threw them to the mob, to the crowd, like, okay, beat them. And they beat them so badly they had wounds all over their body. Why? Just because they believed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Things kept happening. As we know, Muslims migrated. There was the battle of Badr, which Muslims won. Now Talha radiallahu anhu unfortunately missed this battle. Not because he was lazy or anything, because he had gone for another mission that Prophet Muhammad had sent him to. And when he came back, he heard this news of Badr, the victory of Badr, and angels coming and fighting with the Muslims. He was like so sad, like, oh, I missed it, Ya Rasulullah. But Prophet Muhammad said, don't worry, because Allah will give you the same reward. But why? Why does he have the same reward even though he wasn't in the battle? Because the only reason he was away was because he was following another command of Prophet Muhammad. Otherwise, he would have been among these people. Isn't Allah just super generous and kind? Right? It's one of the most beautiful things about Islam. If there is a good deed that you do regularly, consistently, I always help my mom with dinner. I always help to clean the dishes for the sake of Allah. But then one day, maybe you are away, that day you are not at home, and your mom has to do it herself. Allah will reward you like you did it, even though you are not there. Because if you were, you would have. How do we know that? Because you have always done it consistently. That's how Allah rewards consistent good deeds. That even if it so happens you are sick, you are not there, for some reason you weren't able to do it, Allah still rewards you for it. Because you have shown it with your consistent actions that you always do it. Isn't Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala incredibly generous with His reward? Alhamdulillah. Now came the battle of Uhud. And as Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu defined it. He said, Uhud was the day of Talha. The day of Talha. And we're going to find out why he said that. During the battle of Uhud, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ had told some archers to be on a hill and told them to stay there. They were going to be part of the defensive strategy. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was brilliant at battle strategy. But unfortunately, some of these archers left their positions. They were great Muslims, but at that moment they made a mistake. And they left their position. They disobeyed the command of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. And because of that, the enemy took over the hill, they took over and they ambushed the Muslims, and suddenly, like the Muslims who were winning the battle, they started losing the battle because our command of Prophet Muhammad was disobeyed, right? So now the enemy is like surrounding the Muslims, and Prophet Muhammad, his position became so dangerous. Now he's surrounded by all these enemy soldiers coming and attacking him. Obviously, they want to get him, kill him as soon as possible. They bring him down, that's it. Right? So they're coming at him, they're coming. So many of them with their swords, with their bows, with their spears, throwing at him. Prophet Muhammad is starting to go up like a mountain, and he is fighting all of them from like all these different directions that are coming towards him. And now at this time, near Prophet Muhammad weren't like a whole army or anything like that. He was alone, and near him were only about 11 of the Ansar and Talha radiallahu anhu. And at one point he's fighting them from all corners. And then at one point Prophet Muhammad said, who amongst you is going to come and repel these enemies? That person will be my companion in Jannah. So Talha radiallahu anhu was near there. He said, Ya Rasulullah, I will come. First to raise his hand, eager to raise his hand. It's a dangerous mission going near Prophet Muhammad at this point. He's like the center of all the attack, but he's eager, right? He puts his hand up like, I will do it. But Prophet Muhammad says, no, you stay in your position. That's important position. So another companion, he volunteers, I'll come, Ya Rasulullah. Prophet Muhammad says, come. He comes and he fights, and Prophet Muhammad is still fighting all these men off. And this Ansar who had come to help, he gets killed. So then Prophet Muhammad calls again. He's still fighting, and he calls again. Who will come and repel these enemies? And again Talha radiallahu anhu said, me, I will come. Prophet Muhammad says, no, you stay there. So another Ansar comes and he starts fighting them off. Prophet Muhammad is still fighting. And this Ansar also gets killed. This kept happening again and again. Prophet Muhammad is fighting, and one by one these Ansar are coming. And 11 of the companions, they all died. Prophet Muhammad is up this mountain, climbing, fighting. And 11 people from the companions died already. And he's still going. He's badly injured. And Prophet Muhammad is still fighting them up. Look at that. 11 warriors, they came trying to help Prophet Muhammad fight these enemies. But they all died. They got killed by the overwhelming numbers coming towards them. And Prophet Muhammad is still going. Of all the heroes, all the companions we hear about, Prophet Muhammad was the bravest, the strongest, the best of them. And he's still fighting. And then came a point, Prophet Muhammad like really badly injured. His tooth was broken, his forehead was slashed, his lips were injured, blood was dripping all over his face, and his energy was draining out. So once again he called out, who will come and fight this enemy? And Talha radiallahu anhu again said, I will, Ya Rasulullah. And this time Prophet Muhammad said, now, yes, you come, Talha. So Talha radiallahu anhu jumped in to fight these enemies attacking Prophet Muhammad right front. And he got Prophet Muhammad a bit further high up on a mountain. He got him to lie down. He's like drained out of energy, right? And he starts fighting. He's fighting so fiercely. All he's his enemy that has already killed 11 people, right? And Talha radiallahu anhu was fighting them. Finally, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu and Abu Ubaidah radiallahu anhu, who were actually far away from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, finally they made their way near Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they came to help Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam up. And Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, no, leave me, go to your companion, go to Talha. And so they went to see where is Talha, and they found him. He was lying there in a kind of like a whole ditch. All over his body were wounds. All over his body were wounds. From the swords that had slashed him, the spears that had pierced his body, the arrows that had hit him. He was lying there. His foot was cut. He lost his arm. But he was alive. He was still alive. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if anybody wants to look at a living martyr, look at Talha. Look at Talha. He's like a dead man walking. He had so many wounds. He should have died that day. But he didn't. Alhamdulillah. He survived, defending the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he earned the status of Shaheed, even though he is still alive. What an incredible hero he was. Let me ask you, what are these heroes, like footballers, like YouTubers, who just make funny challenge videos? What are they compared to Talha radiallahu anhu? What are they in front of him? Nothing. Nothing. This is a real hero. Who should be greater in your heart? A singer, a footballer, a YouTuber, an influencer? Or Talha radiallahu anhu? While children are raving about these other heroes, who will you rave about? This is my hero. This is who I want to be like. Now you don't have to go fight battles. Alhamdulillah, Allah has given us a peaceful life. Alhamdulillah. And that's what Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam loved more than that. In fact, it was this peace time that helped Islam really spread around the world. Which is the time we are in. Alhamdulillah. So what are you going to do for Islam? You saw what Talha did. Was it easy for him? Was it comfortable? No. See how he fought. He was fighting to protect Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, giving it his absolute best. How did he do that? He's just a man. How did he build such courage? That such discomfort all over his body. Imagine the pain he must have been in. 1 wound, 2 wounds, 3, 4, 5. He had 70 wounds all over his body. And he's still going. We get a little finger cut and we're like, oh, I can't do my homework now. Oh, I'm like tired. I can't pray. I'm sleepy. I can't pray. Can you imagine what Talha radiallahu anhu would have said at that? Can you imagine him saying like, oh, I'm too sleepy today. I'm not going to wake up for Fajr. I'm too tired. I'm skipping my salah. Can you imagine him ever thinking that way? Never. If you want to live an extraordinary life, if you want to become extraordinary like Talha radiallahu anhu, which absolutely you can, you were built for that. Allah designed you as His best creation. That's who He chose you to be. He could have made you a cockroach. Yeah, He could have. But He didn't. He chose you to become a human being. The best of His creation. So that's what you are capable of. That extraordinary example is in front of you. So mark my words. If you want to live the extraordinary life, become an extraordinary person, like these heroes you're learning about, you must consistently keep making the hard choice. choosing the hard thing to do. Because easy thing, everybody does that. That's ordinary. Easy thing is ordinary. Doing the hard thing again and again and again and again, that's extraordinary. That's what makes people extraordinary. Not once I did this, once I did that. People do that. That's also ordinary. But consistently making the hard choice, waking every day up early for Fajr, waking up before Fajr to pray Tahajjud, that's the hard choice. You keep consistently doing that, I guarantee you become extraordinary, inshallah. You walk to Allah, Allah will run to you. Consistently keep making the hard choice. You will hardly ever see your friends at school, even your friends at your Islamic school or your madrasa, making those hard choices. They will do the ordinary things, the easy ways, talk about the same stuff that everybody else is, look up to Mr. Beast, Messi, Ronaldo. They will be their heroes. You can be ordinary like them. Or you can choose today to be extraordinary, different from all of them. Like Talha radiallahu anhu. Here though, in unshakable Muslims, this is where you will find friends who also want to be extraordinary. Because just like you are right now, they are also making that decision. Same as you. To be extraordinary. To be unshakable. Am I right or am I right? Alhamdulillah. Just like Zubair and Talha were best friends. Helping each other, strengthening each other. All the time. I hope you find a best friend like that here. So when you keep posting and hang out, chatting with each other, talking to each other, inshallah, you'll make closer and closer friendships. Now, Talha radiallahu anhu, another name he was given by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was Talha the good, Talha the generous, because he was so generous. Once he did a business deal and he earned a profit of like 700,000 dirhams. I calculated that and I got some help from ChatGPT, and that's like $30 million today. And he gave it in charity. Just for the sake of Allah, to please Allah. What an incredible man he was. What powered these people up was their salah, was their dua. You want to strengthen your dua, you want to strengthen your salah, and you want to become extraordinary, right? So I'm going to end this video asking you a question. Do you decide today to be extraordinary? To keep making the hard choices? Or are you going to be the one who only ever does what they feel like doing? Like everybody else.